The first big rainstorm of the year is triggering massive mudslides in areas scorched by weeks of wildfires.
Oh my God, Mom!
It was the worst possible scenario of the mountainside coming down.
Mike, get in the car. Mike, get in the car. Get in the car, Mike. Get in the car.
We were huddled on the bed, just watching this water come through, and we can't get out.
I am trapped in my house, and the mud is coming in.
Neighborhood after neighborhood has been wiped out by this mudslide.
I went under, and I opened my eyes under gritty glass shard-filled mud. I just surrendered. I said, okay, if you want me to die, I'll die tonight. Montecito is such a unique place. It sits within Santa Barbara County. You've got this contrast of these beautiful mountain ranges that you can go hiking and exploring in, and then the magnificent Pacific Ocean.
In the fall of 2017, we were in the 5th or 6th year of a pretty devastating drought. So our hills were baked dry, and any small ignition, the whole mountain's gonna go.
Alarming wildfire developments today in California's Santa Barbara County area. The massive Thomas fire continues to grow.
In Montecito, homes are being threatened by the fast-moving flames. CAL FIRE tells us this is the largest firefighting effort in state history.
That December of 2017 was terrifying. It was exhausting. The firemen did heroic efforts to protect the houses in town. We were just grateful. The house didn't burn down. Some say I was living the American dream. I had a family of 4. My son, Jack, who was 17, a daughter, Lauren, who was 14, and my fabulous husband, Dave. Dave and I both had enriching careers. We both, really enjoyed working, busy jobs and busy kids. And we really treasured being a family and doing things as a family. We built the life that we wanted.
My parents, Jeff and Gabrielle, moved here from Southeast Asia. I was born in Bangkok. My dad has had an incredible swimming career, the pinnacle probably being the 1960 Olympics where he won 2 gold medals. I had moved back in with my parents to help them caretake for the property as they're slowly starting to get older.
Love you guys.
See you later.
Bye.
And after the fire moved through our foothills, things quieted down, and we attempted to have a Christmas and enjoy time together. And then in the first week of January, there was a storm system that started forming beyond the horizon.
The Weather Service is warning residents to be prepared for road closures, for travel delays due to flooding, debris flows, and mudslides.
The weather reports were coming in that we were going to get a storm really on the tail end of the Thomas fire. It's kind of looking at the worst possible scenario.
Instead of being beautiful green and trees and boulders that are just tucked into the mountainside, now it's all burned. And what you see in the mountains are massive car-sized boulders that are sitting precariously on the mountainside. And I remember looking up at those big boulders and seeing some of the houses that are perched up in the hillside there and thinking, those poor people, those poor people.
A lot of the soil becomes hydrophobic, so it repels water. You put water on the ground up there and it's gonna start running off just because of that ash. And so you're looking at a major disaster, debris flow, you have boulders coming loose. And there have been previous debris flows from fires in the past. It was known the hillside can come down. I remember sitting in our dispatch center and someone calling in, just wanting to know, how important is it going to be for them to evacuate?
After 3 weeks plus of fire, the evacuation fatigue was real, and trying to get people to understand the severity of the storm that was to hit was a challenge.
It's not because there might be a little bit of water that comes in. It's because there's a possibility of a boulder ripping through your house. So yeah, if the order comes out, you need to go.
Evacuation orders were put into place at noon today.
Sandbags and road signs dot canyons in the evacuation areas in preparation of the potential slides and debris flows.
We were not in mandatory evacuation, but I said, you know what? I think I'm just gonna book a hotel room just in case it starts raining heavy and we have to get out. I remember that night, Jack was in his room working on some homework. Lauren was chatting with her friends, and then Jack came out and said, Lauren's a little worried about tonight. I said, honey, it's okay, we've got a hotel room. We're listening to the news. If we need to go, we'll get out and go. We woke at about 3 a.m. to heavy, heavy rain, pounding rain. And all of a sudden, the power goes out. And there's an explosion. And I look out the bay window, and instead of being pitch black, it's this eerie yellow, almost like a nuclear bomb. I yell to Dave, something really wrong is going on.
911, what are you reporting?
The whole mountainside is lit up, so you can see it in the sky.
I was awakened to the most intense rain squall I'd ever experienced. And there was this new, crazy, bright orange glow in our foothills.
Guys, I don't know what this is. This is a huge orange glow. Like the whole sky's lit up.
My mind couldn't understand why the sun was coming up there 2 hours early. Nothing was making sense at that point. And very far away, I heard a very loud, mechanical sound. It was getting louder and louder, and it sounded like, home.
Oh my God, Mom!
I just remember this battering ram screaming down the street at over 20 miles an hour. I really felt we may not survive this.
Close the door!
Emergency, what are you reporting?
Yes, a massive fireball is coming out of the house right now.
Hello, we're on fire. The
Where?
center is entirely on fire.
I was at our Station 2 rooming with another firefighter. I just remember him waking up and going over to the window. And he said, man, I think there's a fire out there. I said, no way. You know, all we're hearing is just pouring down rain. But no, as soon as it went over, I said, you're right. It's got to be a fire. We both gear up and start heading out. And pretty quickly we realize we've got flooding across the roads. And we can't make it to where we need to go. You start seeing debris. And so you're realizing that this is the worst scenario that we were preparing for.
My wife and I grew up in Santa Barbara our whole lives. Montecito itself, it's a beautiful area to raise kids.
I had a newborn and my children, and I was still recovering from my C-section. And my husband and I put our children to bed, Brody, Joe, and Colton. I had Bronson, my newborn, right next to me in his crib, and we were all tired. We just said our prayers, kissed the kids goodnight, and went to bed.
The water was just coming down really hard. It just woke me up. I went outside to go look at the rain, and that's when we noticed the bright kind of glowing. And then I saw a wave of water about 2 or 3 feet tall, just kind of slowly coming towards us. And I was just like froze. I was like, oh my gosh, the house is about to flood.
And my husband just said, Angelina, grab the kids. But the house had already started to flood.
The courtyard filled up with water, and it came right through the sliding window into our bedroom.
It just crashed in like it was crazy. And eventually the bed started pushing up.
I'm literally standing on the bed, pushing on the ceiling.
I was holding Bronson, my newborn, and we were just all trying to stay on the bed.
More mud starts coming in, we start rising.
I literally had to push down on our bed to kind of control it. And so that's when I really started panicking, because I didn't know if we were gonna wash away or what was gonna happen.
About a half a block from my house, suddenly I saw a CHP, California Highway Patrol car. As they passed me, I remember the officer reach over and key the mic and say, "Get out of here, get out of here."
Get out of here, get out of here, get out of here, go!
And the CHP car literally drove right up onto the front of the debris flow. And their car just somehow gets spun around 180 degrees for them to float around, bob around for a while, and then be able to drive away is nothing short of a miracle.
Oh my God, Mom!
At this point, my mom is in the driveway, wondering where I am.
Get out of here, go! Close the door!
I could hear all of our landscaping being inundated, our cars getting smashed in the driveway.
Get ready to go out. Wake Dad up.
I started running back to make sure Dad was woken up.
Wake up!
And suddenly I saw the front door was breached with the most violent, loud noise I've ever experienced. And instantly, mud was screaming across the floor.
Stay there! You guys stay there!
You can't swim in mud, and you can't walk in mud. It's virtually impossible. That's what makes it scary.
I'm gonna try to open that door over there.
You can't go to the front door, because that's where the mud's coming from, and the back door just leads to more mud. So we were stuck where we were.
If we did not do something drastic, we would just drown in the house.
We were in this alone. It was up to us to survive this.
It's starting to rain more, Mom. That's what I'm concerned about.
There was no way anybody was coming to get us until the sun came up.
What are you reporting? The mud is like coming in the house. How the hell do we get out of here?
911, what are you reporting?
Yes, we need help. The house is about to be washed away. We need help.
You have a giant piece of rock that's just breaking off the mountain, barreling through stuff. The glow in the sky was in fact a structure fire, but it was also more than that. When the debris flow came down, it ruptured a gas main. That gas main found an ignition source and created this giant fireball in the sky. And at this point, we can't make it down to the road, and we're starting to get radio traffic from people that are calling for help.
Dave says, Kim, we gotta get out. It's raining too hard. I yell to the kids get dressed. Dave was doing one more check out front so we could evacuate. And I see him open the front doors to our house. And I think he saw the 30-foot wave coming, or he saw the two houses across the lane crumbling and coming toward us. So he slams the door real fast. He goes, "Back door now!" And he races past me, and he runs out that glass door, and he's like, "Kim, get out." And I said, "I can't." A massive wall of mud started seeping through the house, and mud is now at my waist. Dave was on the other side of the door. I yelled, I'm stuck, I'm going under." I was yelling for my kids, "Jack, Lauren," you know, I was yelling. They couldn't hear it. They were in their own hell.
It was very scary at the time. My wife had Bronson in her arms, and the two kids were huddled on the bed.
I was trying to hold them, but it was really hard to stay on the bed because there was so much debris coming through and so much water. I didn't think we were gonna make it out alive.
It came to me that our attic was the next best place to go. I just picked up Colton and I said, "Hey, we need to keep it calm. You need to help me bring everyone upstairs. My wife is, recovering from C-section. And my son is really my only help at the time." I could tell he was really scared, but he didn't say no. He just said, "Yes, I'll do it."
My dad cut his foot and he was limping. He couldn't really stand that much. He brought me up first, then he goes back and he gets Bronson. Then he brings my sister up, and I'm holding Bronson in one hand, and I'm grabbing Brody's hand, pulling her up.
And then I went back and got Angelina, and that's when I realized, I was like, oh my gosh, the dogs. So I went back down into the water, and one of our dogs had already gone into the bedroom. She was laying on the rocking chair. And our other dog, Winston, I wanted to take him upstairs, but the ladder was just too steep, and he's like a 100-pound dog. It was just no way. We did hear him crying, and that was the hardest part.
We get up in the attic, and it was freezing cold. No heat, no light. I don't have anything. I'm in shorts and nothing else.
I was just trying to get all the mud off of them, trying to get the rest of their body cleaned off so they wouldn't get cold, because I'm like, what happens if they get hypothermia? What if we start freezing? We just prayed a lot. We prayed.
Mud was screaming across the floor. Purely instinctually,
Wake up!
I sprinted to our back door and opened it.
Had he not done it then, it would have been impossible to fight the mud, the weight of the mud and the height of the mud.
Everyone stay calm. God, I pray for everyone here.
I've got my mom and dad behind me, and I realized that this hallway was a safe zone for us because there were multiple walls between us and where the front of the debris was hitting the house.
Good boy.
And I have a three-legged rescue border collie, Lucas. I was able to put Lucas on this little floating island, a TV box.
Stay, Lucas.
I didn't know what was still uphill of us. I didn't know if we were going to get a second wave or not. It was just unknown what was to come.
We have numerous residences that are trapped inside of their houses and unable to evacuate.
Our house is flooded almost all the way up to the doorstep, and we're stuck. I am on top of my roof in Montecito.
Okay.
Just coming up high.
On the roof is the best place for you to be. I'm going to put you through the fire rescue. Hold on.
It was so noisy and chaos. Think of, as your house is being obliterated, all the creaks and sounds. And then a massive wall of mud started seeping through the house. It roared in. It's this moving beast. And then all of a sudden, Dave was gone. And then I went under. It was like being in a trash compactor, hit by everything. Parts of houses, pieces of furniture, just crushing me. I was in so much pain. I remember thinking, God, show me the white light. Get this over with quick.
The 4 most important things that we own are right here, Mom, okay?
We were yelling at each other because the house was pounded with rocks, boulders, trees.
I'm gonna take one of you at a time.
Why don't we all go together?
Dad,
Dog.
Dad, no, there's no talking.
Arguing.
I'm taking control of the situation right now.
And at one point, we could not agree on where to escape. So I said, shut up, everybody. Marco is our captain.
I went into the back patio, and my 12-foot foam surfboard had floated in. My thought was I could put my mom on that surfboard and push her and get her to calm her ground and repeat it with my dad. So I told them what we were going to try to do, okay. At which point I fell into the mud. I realized that this was a bad idea.
I just remember how impossible it seemed. I lived in Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos. I have been with bullets whizzing over my head in Saigon, but I was never as frightened and as helpless as I was wondering if we were going to make it.
I turned to my dad. I needed to know when the sun was going to come up. I yelled, what time is it? And he looked at his watch. He said, 4:07. I went, oh, damn. That's too long to think about. So I'm just going to focus on the next second. And if I can survive for one more second, my parents are alive for one more second.
It was just kind of survival mode when we were up in the attic. It was cold, water still coming into the house, and my 7-week-old son needed to eat soon. Angelina called 911, and the line was busy.
We're sorry. All circuits are busy now.
And we didn't know it was all of Montecito that was being washed out.
I did not think what was happening was real. How do you call 911 and it's busy?
So she kept calling again and again, but there's no answer. So finally, she's able to get through to someone.
911 emergency reporting. Hello?
Hello, this is Angelina Cordero calling.
Okay.
We're trapped up in the attic. The house is completely filled with mud.
They tell her that they can't get to us at the time.
My son is 7 weeks old. I have a 3-year-old, a 9-year-old. We're up in the attic. I'm just scared that we're going to die.
It was freezing, and I just had Bronson bundled. Just his little head was showing. My husband was shivering, and then we were in there for so long that he started to turn like gray and blue. I think he was starting to go into hypothermia.
So the kids kind of laid on me to kind of get me warm, and I passed out for a couple hours.
What was your name again?
Angelina.
But the same dispatcher kept calling me back. Her energy through the phone turned me into a very calm and positive person. Just the way she was telling me, like, everything is gonna be okay. I'm gonna keep calling you back to make sure you're safe and that your family's okay, and I'm gonna get you out of here.
I would say we spoke probably a dozen times back and forth. Out of everybody that was trapped, I think that that family stuck with me because of them having this brand new baby and a toddler and an elementary school kid at the time. Just up in their attic waiting to be rescued. And I didn't ever want her to think I forgot about her. I remember the last phone call I made to her. She said, my phone's gonna die. I don't know when, but it's close. And I just told her, just remember, okay, if it dies, just stay where you're at. I'm gonna get somebody to you. But the next time I was going to call her, it went straight to voicemail, and that was it. I didn't have communication with her anymore.
At that time, we were on our own.
We're just trying to assess the extent of the damage. This road's impassable, this power line's down, there's gas leak. We know that there are people in distress up above this, and we're just trying to figure out how to get to them.
When I was under the mud, I remember taking my last, what I thought was breath of air, and just feeling like there was no air, it was mud going in those lungs. I was having a conversation with God, like, if this is my time, please don't make me suffer. I just surrendered. I said, okay, if you want me to die, I'll die tonight.
It was so overwhelming. You're being hit with a wall of mud. Cars and trees and boulders are flying around your property and slamming into your house.
We've got a three-legged dog that we're trying to protect, and we have each other that we're trying to protect.
It was at this point that I started noticing a very slight glow to the east. Very first rays of the sun were starting to illuminate the eastern sky.
The waters have gone down almost a foot.
Marco said, all right, we are going to escape. And I said to myself, we are walking to our death. But if this is it, so be it. Marco held me very tightly, and he took me to the edge of the garden, and he said, Mom, I have to go in and get Dad and get Lucas, our dog.
Mom, just stay.
And Mom started panicking a little. I knew I had to get her to focus because in these situations, panic can kill. I said, Mom, repeat after me, we are alive.
I said, Marco, we are alive.
Keep saying it, keep saying it. So now she's screaming, we are alive, we are alive. And it was at that point that I saw another vehicle coming up the street and recognized it as a fire truck.
Marco, with his flashlight, he was making, I guess, SOS message, and they responded. And I knew that somebody knew we were alive.
They pulled up, and a firefighter helped my mom into the back of the fire truck. And then I'd walked my dad and Lucas up.
But they dropped us just off the street because he very gently said, Ma'am, we have 1 minute per house. They dropped us here because they had to go and rescue other people.
Finally was able to flag down a Good Samaritan. And as he was driving us to my sister's house, I looked back towards Montecito and was greeted with the most vibrant, beautiful rainbow that I've ever experienced. And it was at that point that I knew we'd survived.
I was unconscious. All I remember is waking up really dazed on a debris pile. It almost felt like a war zone. It was just desolate. It was just demolished.
Deadly mudslides wreak havoc in Southern California. At least 15 people are dead, around 24 others missing.
I was cold, I had bare feet, it was wet. Like, am I in heaven? And I felt on my chest. I could move my hand, and I felt like a spray bottle, like you'd clean your house with. And I'm like, I don't think there's any of these in heaven. My leg was trapped in the debris pile, and I remember looking to the right, and I saw live electrical transformers exploding and wires. And I'm like, oh my God, I could get electrocuted. I don't want to move. So I was kind of just like paralyzed there. I just kind of stayed there. It was January, and it was raining, and I was getting hypothermic. And then it was kind of yelling like, where's my family? Jack, Lauren, Dave. And then realizing there was no response back. Then maybe 2 hours later, I heard clomp, 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 and I heard someone say, we got a Vic up here.
We come up, our crew that's there has already assessed the patient. She has some hip pain, but is alert and talking to us. And she kept talking about her daughter, her son, her husband. They're all missing.
And they said, tell me again where your house was. And I pointed with my finger, and 2 of the first responders went to follow that direction.
We had also identified this really large debris pile. Maybe it was 75 feet long, 15 feet high. We had this gas main that had broken. It was super loud. So we're yelling at each other, and someone says, wait, hold on. I think I hear someone calling for help.
At that point, I have no communication with Angelina Cordero. I had firefighters walking to the house, and the debris was just too thick, it was too high. It became my #1 priority until I knew that they were getting rescued.
We were saying a lot of prayers. We were just exhausted.
My lips were blue, I was blue. Angelina was just trying to keep me warm. And then we heard this big loud thump. What is that noise? Oh, the search and rescue team is here. And they landed on our roof. He made his way to where the attic was. And, excuse me. I was just thankful that he was there to help us.
I remember we had to go back down to my parents' bedroom to get out. And I just see mud on the walls, paintings knocked over.
My husband was able to get our dogs, and our dogs were all fine.
And then we handed off our kids to the Coast Guard. We had to help Angelina up the roof.
And there's this big Coast Guard guy, and I'm sitting in his lap. And as I'm going up in the basket, I start spinning a little bit, and I'm like, oh my God, like I'm gonna die right now. Like it's gonna fall. And then it stopped spinning, and then everything just went quiet. And that's when I saw like all of Montecito got hit. I saw at least 5 or 6 houses that were just destroyed. I saw like one roof collapse. Cars were broken in half. It was bad. I tried my best to take one final look at our house. I knew I was never gonna come back to that place.
They took our dogs up, and I was the last one to go, and I was with Winston, our Rottweiler. And we just started going up and seeing the devastation around.
There are more than 1,200 personnel engaged in this rescue operation. The idea is simple. If there is a miracle waiting to happen, someone will be there to find it.
I'm in the hospital. They're doing x-rays, preparing me for surgery, and none of my family's there. I had no idea where they were. So It was a dark time.
In this particular spot, do we know if there's someone trapped?
That I don't know. They're still working to try and get access.
We made our way over to that massive debris pile, and the crew is saying, "Wait, hold on, I think I hear someone calling for help." So I stopped talking, and I could hear someone calling for help.
I started hearing like a whisper and like a voice. And I was like, oh my gosh, I may not be dead. I started screaming literally as loud as I could, like from as loud as I thought I could to louder. Eventually, I heard a voice saying, "We hear you." And that was the first responders coming to get me. I couldn't move. My arms were completely stuck. And the only thing I could see was this little teeny pocket of air, like half the size of a volleyball, like just in front of my face.
I kept asking if she was injured, and she was so calm. She was telling me who her mom was, dad, brother.
I was freaking out. I was like, what if I'm alone? What if everyone died and then I'm alone?
I was able to put together that we had just come from saving her mom, Kim. I was able to let her know that her mom is fine. And we just started taking pieces off that pile. You're just trying to take off one piece at a time. We had to bring in, the jaws of life that we used to cut through vehicles because we needed to cut through some branches.
I do remember at a point, they opened part of this pile, and Andy, actually, the firefighter, came in to dig me out from the inside. And when he got in there, he was like, "So how are you doing?" And I replied, "Never been better." Then it was time to try to actually get me out. I stood up, and they're like, "You can walk?" And I was like, "Of course I can walk." I had not really comprehended what was going on.
It was so hard to hear her. We could have very easily just taken 2 more steps and we wouldn't have been able to hear her at all.
And all of a sudden, I hear the swinging door of an operating room opening, and a woman yelled in, "Is your daughter's name Lauren?" And I said, "Yes." And they said they just rescued her. And my shoulders just like so relaxed, like, oh my God, thank God. Then I went to thinking, where's my husband and my son? I was waiting to hear, when are they finding the boys? And at the back of the room comes in an officer, and he said, "Kim, we found Dave." And I said, "Alive?" And he says, "No, he's dead." And he was found 1.5 miles away at the shoreline of the beach. It was a punch in the gut and a loss that really can't explain. He was my life partner. He was my best friend. He was everything. And then I went to, how do I tell Lauren? They ended up taking me to Mom's hospital. My mom was really banged up. And I remember, she held my hand, and then she told me about my dad. And I couldn't breathe. I just started crying. She wailed. And then there's the worry of, where's my son, right? My firstborn. Days went by, still no Jack. And you start to do the math, right? That it's gonna start going from rescue to recovery. We searched for 3 years. And the pile that they found the remains of Jack in was graced by beautiful yellow flowers, wildflowers. I know my husband and son wanted for me to find that so I could have closure. My mom and I, we've definitely gotten closer than we were before. And honestly, she's a great example of how to be a strong woman. And I think we both just needed each other. In Montecito, A lot of people have hedges for privacy. It's kind of a private community. But with the mudslide, the hedges came down. So I started kind of writing some stuff down, so I remembered it.
Please welcome Kim Canton.
Writing the book was very cathartic because I saw myself go from a desperate grief to receiving all this community love and support. My story is nothing I would recommend to anyone, yet I believe that there's silver linings in anything we go through.
Oh, how fun. Jennifer. That was the only dispatcher that I spoke to. She went above and beyond her duty that day. It's so hard to explain the connection that we created together.
We just clicked. And then we just maintained a friendship after that.
Jump into my arms, that scared me.
So sweet. I love that.
We ended up asking her to be Bronson's godmother, which she accepted.
Ultimately, that rainstorm created a disaster that destroyed over 100 homes and heavily damaged hundreds more. Hundreds of people were injured. Sadly, 23 of our neighbors didn't survive. And across the board, from firemen and law enforcement to these neighbors and volunteers, the turnout of support has been incredible and continues to this day. Coming so close to not surviving, there isn't enough money in the world to pay to have the perspective that I have on life now and how incredible waking up alive every morning is.